We are in a wonderful home in downtown Dublin. We've been graciously invited by an Irishman who is very, very well known to you all, Mr. Micklay.
Micklay was educated in UCG, and in 1975, together with Gary Hines and Mary Mullen, he founded Galway's Druid Theatre. His television career, wide and varied, but it started with Gabriel Byrne in Bracken. Micklay, how are you?
Tá go bach. Agus tá fáitirh ag an teach.
Carcalau.
Agus se le an pí atá sin agat fu me mogad aideachas nuair a bhí me mogan na fástaí í oscail na Gaillimhe. An nó rih sin nuair a bhí me beg ag baile í dúrbh céadaí chun do bhío. Bhí táigeáil túthe agam. An muich ó bhí me an óg a gobar le mehar agus mo bháthar muis na páircinní agus na gardaí sa muich na sléiftí bailús ús cuirí agus beí baint móna nuair bhí me beag níos láidir agus scarú móna agus a gobar leis an tamar fad go minic. Agus ag an am céamaí ag an munscail ag tríon láir dotar i dúrbh céadaí. Agus bhíon tá arman sin tá me capú in geall go raibh an múnseoir a bhí agam seos a bhfuil mú rúnaí go dtíimte gásteir. Has sé blian amháin a déanú drámaí gearlinn leis na páistí sa scoil na bóthailí agus na cadíní. An hartar nám sin sna dearú na gaogadaí hanig na héana agus cúpla de dalí le chéalaí i dúrbh céadaí agus has siad féile drámaíochta. In Gaeilge.
This was your introduction
to acting. Yeah, to the whole.
The spark, as it were.
So that the whole idea of acting was never alien to me.
Yeah.
On Sunday nights, listening to radio plays on Radio Éireann was a big deal for me. I used to love listening to them as a youngster when I was 10, 11, 12 years of age. And then by degrees, then I didn't do anything when I went to boarding school in Galway. I stopped and wondered because they used to do a lot of plays there in Irish, through Irish. But they never asked me to be in any of them.
Oh.
And I used to resent that.
I should think so.
And also, you see, you didn't, in those days, you wouldn't have the gumption to go up and say to a priest, excuse me, I'm better than he is, can't I be in your play? He's making a hames of that part.
Modest
you just couldn't do that, you know. And the irony of it was, years later, when I was working with, there's an Irish language theatre in Galway called the Taviarch. The priests there from the school used to come see me in some of the plays and just say to me, why did you never do any plays with us in St. Mary's when you were in there? I said, because you never bloody well asked me.
Oh, there you go.
And was there a reason why you weren't asked?
Well, I suspect, you see, that there was a very simplistic logic to it, actually. That I think I noticed that most of the time, the lads they used in the plays were generally the brightest in the class. So I reckon that, I figured that the thinking was at least to be able to learn the lines.
Ah, I see. Right.
To be able to memorise them.
You graduated from UCG.
And then I went on to UCG.
Yeah. So you're obviously one of the sharper knives in the drawer.
Yes, I went on to, I managed to get enough honours as it was that time in the Leaving Cert to get automatically get the matriculation.
Yes.
So I went on to UCG, did a degree in arts, did a BA in history and Irish. And then I got a job teaching Irish in the vocational school in Tuam, 1969.
Did you like teaching?
I did actually. I really enjoyed teaching. I got into it fairly quickly. And once when I was at it, I was trying to devise methods of doing it my own way. Because I found the first year I was doing it, this year I was doing the H-dip, and I was teaching the way I'd been taught myself, you know, kind of like 10 or 15 years prior to that. And I was saying to myself, this can't be right. There must be another way of doing it. And so I started to experiment with doing plays with them, again, as an Irish, because I was teaching Irish.
Yeah.
And I experimented with the idea of using, how to use the language, having fun with the language, and making it interesting for them.
Fun is the word, is it?
Fun is crucial.
Making it fun.
You know, there's a lot of controversy lately about the whole thing of education and teaching. That I think the real problem with teaching methods nowadays lies with the universities. In that most teachers, they do a degree in the arts and commerce, science or whatever, and they do the H-dip. Now, unless the H-tip changed from my time doing it, and I don't think it changed very much, the H-tip is a whole series of various ologies and theories. But nobody tells you how to actually teach. Teaching is like carpentry or plumbing. It's a craft, and you need to learn how to do it. Now, doing the theory of it won't teach you how to do it. And then later on, during the whole period of my dealings with my own children in second level education, and observing the way they were being taught, I realised that teaching methods basically haven't changed in Ireland the last 40 years. They were being taught the way I was being taught way back in the 60s.
Yes.
And it doesn't fit the model.
And it's not the teacher's fault.
No.
It's the trainers, for the guys who are supposed to be training them, it's their fault.
Yes.
And a method needs to be devised to train teachers properly, because, especially as I say in language teaching, and it is available to us. Because, for example, Gael Lynn and other bodies run courses, month courses in Irish language.
Have you had a role or a play or a part in a play that sums you up?
And over the years, I've played many different characters. One of my favourites would have to be, I think, Old Mahan in the play by the Western World. Initially, in the early years of Druid, I played Christy, and I played Old Mahan, that Christy's father, the man that Christy thinks he has killed.
Yes.
And he comes back. It was a great part to do and very enjoyable, and it was very quite violent, actually.
You get your teeth into it and
Yeah.
really enjoy it.
Because there was a great fight scene towards the end of it, and which myself and Melissa Stafford, who's playing Christy, mainly devised ourselves. And because we did it initially in Druid in Galway, which is a very small theatre, it necessitated me hitting that man, Melissa, with a stick across the back.
Ooh.
Because you couldn't pad him.
No.
Because he's after coming in from winning all these prizes in the races that goes on in the play. And all he's on him is a tight-fitting jockey's shirt. And I come in and I leathered the hell out of him. And he used to have marks all over his body, but it never hurt him. Because with the adrenaline going so much, he never felt any injuries or felt sore.
And you're still friends?
We're still the best of mates. Yeah.
True friendship.
Oh, yeah. And it was really, it was quite a vicious fight.
If you had to choose between your acting in relation to stage, film, which would you, and television obviously,
Of course, yeah.
which would be you? Which
I always
medium
preferred,
would you prefer?
I think I always preferred stage acting.
You're a stage
I don't know, yeah, I always preferred it. Now, the unfortunate thing is it doesn't pay that well. There's always a drawback. There's always a rub.
The dreaded lucre.
Yes. So the happy way to do it is if you can combine both.
With
Every
television, is there ever the fear of being typecast? As in Miley
There is.
from Glenroe?
There is, because it is very easy when you're seen regularly in a part, in one single part, for over a period of years, for the public to see you as nothing else.
Exactly. How do you cope with that?
Well, actually, I was, in many respects, I've been lucky enough from that point of view. Mainly from the point of view, because when Glenroe was in full flight in the early and mid-80s, when I was free from Glenroe in the summer months, I used to be nearly, generally speaking, down in Galway with Druid. And whatever shows we did generally went on fairly extensive tours up and down the country. So that quite a vast swathe of people who were used to seeing me as Miley on TV also began to see me as something other than
Very
that
good, yeah.
in stage performances. So that in the popular imagination in many parts of the country, the typecasting didn't take place as much as it might otherwise have taken. Also, in those years, I did quite a number of stage work in Dublin, in the Gaiety, in various plays by John B. Keane and some plays in the Abbey. So that many people were aware of the stage side of Micklally, that it wasn't just Miley.
You're a family man.
Yes.
How do you fit? How do you fit being a family man and actually living in Dublin and the Druid Theatre in Galway?
All this
and
wandering.
all your wandering around.
Well, I always made a point, in so much as I possibly could, especially when the children were small, of getting back home from no matter where I was for at least the Sunday.
Yeah.
And also in in the early years when they were smaller, when I began work with Druid in the early 80s and the children were quite small, we used to move down, the whole lot of us, Peggy, myself and the three children, and rent a flat or a house or whatever in Galway. And even for a while, they used to go to school there in maybe maybe before the school broke up, or maybe when it restarted back in September. They went to the Jesuit for a while, in the Scoil Long Gaeilge that's there in the primary school in the Jesuits in Galway. So that no matter what, all my coming and going, I always went out of my way, made sure to make a sustainable contact with them.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. What do you think of that now?
Brilliant. No, it is. It's very good. Be able to, in English, yes.
In English. You got on
No,
that.
I mean, it makes me want. It makes me want to learn more Gaelic, to be honest, to learn more Irish, because it is such a beautiful language to hear. But it is nice to understand what you were saying.
Well, that's roughly. It was that was more or less in addition to what I'd already said in Irish.
Right, very good.
It's not quite the same.
Excellent stuff.
Well, that's been absolutely magnificent.
Thank you so very much.
For inviting us to your lovely home here. Okay.
So
Mick
it's a
Lally,
delight to
once
meet
again,
you.
Thanks
Hopefully
very
we have
much
some-
for being on the very
That'll be some UC.
It will be
Very good.
fantastic.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Mick.
You're welcome.